G'day guys, this is Rocky Menero and you're listening to Ringside Wrestling with Michael and Dando.
Hey guys, Michael and Dando here for the Ringside Wrestling Podcast, and today our guest is the man who has set the team of Slex this Friday night at WrestleClash against the Orient Express. He is, of course, Rocky Menero. Rocky, how you doing, mate?
What's up, boys? How you doing?
Always good. What have you been up to today?
Just a bit of work, bit of training, all that good stuff, drinking way too much coffee and all the standard stuff you do when it's raining.
How's the back holding up? Because last time I saw you couldn't even reach above your head.
Oh yeah, back's getting it right. Actually, stemmed from a nerve damage I had in my leg from a broken ankle I had last year. Sort of caught up with me. Just had a pinched nerve in the leg, which was shooting all the way up the back. So yeah, that's all good now. But yeah, I looked like a crippled old man last time I saw you boys.
I had that same issue, man, with pinched nerve in the leg. It never goes away.
Ah, sweet. So I've got that to look forward to.
No, great way there to start on an up note. It's like, oh, sorry, you're crippled for life.
Tell me how I'm going to get cancer too, mate. Just rub it in.
Didn't you know you had it? Okay. Rowan wants me to make sure that you plug the Adelaide WrestleClash. Let's get into that straight away.
Oh, Adelaide WrestleClash, that thing's going to be amazing. He doesn't need to remind me to plug that thing.
Okay.
That's going to be the greatest thing to ever hit the little town of Adelaide.
Like, and because you're the hometown boy, obviously you're going to be in the main event, yeah?
No, not going to be the main event. We've got a special tag team main event. It's not going to be me and Slexy. We're going to have a special tag team of the Amigos. The Amigos are coming across the border, as they always do. And we've got a new surprise team, because it's a USA versus Mexico theme. And we have two young lads from Adelaide who are going to be representing the USA, and they are the Top Guns.
Are they actually from the USA?
Well, it's WrestleClash, mate. Everyone's from where we say now.
Do they have awesome pilot gimmicks?
They certainly do.
Oh,
They will be
yes.
coming out to Highway Danger Zone.
Oh, I didn't think I would ever cross the border to go to a wrestling show, but I might have to.
And they may or may not stop mid-match and play volleyball. I don't know. It's just we're negotiating the terms at the moment. But yeah, there may be some half-naked volleyball like in the movie.
Volleyball confirmed.
Yeah.
So this Friday you're teaming with Slex. You're in the match that would normally be the main event.
Me and Slex?
No, like you versus the Orient Express. That would normally be the main event of a WrestleClash.
Yeah,
It would
WrestleClash
normally be. But we've got the greatest match in the history of WrestleClash. Possibly the greatest match in the history of Australian wrestling coming up this week.
Which is?
The Elliot Sexton and Edwin Lay.
It's had a very good
You
build, hasn't
cannot
it?
tell me you have not watched the videos and are just not excited. I've got people over here in Adelaide watching those videos, just hanging to find out what happens.
I showed it to my wife because my wife didn't want to come to any of the WrestleClashes. She's not a big wrestling fan. I showed it to her and she was like, I kind of want to see that Asian guy punch him in the dick.
See, that's what WrestleClash is all about. It's not just your stock standard wrestling show. We are entertainment events. We are must-see events.
Do you feel that match is going to divide the audience? Because I know, I feel like an army of one when I'm booing Edwin.
Yeah. Well, it might just be you on one side of the ball, mate. But no, Edwin has quite the following. It's kind of caught us all by surprise. Like, when we first slated him as a referee at the first WrestleClash, we didn't know it was going to turn into the monster that it was.
Speaking of people that have developed quite the following, and also your earlier note of you've seen the videos, what the hell has been going on with Juicy over the last week? I mean, he's everywhere.
That guy is just a media darling. It's hard not to love him. It's just, he's everything that's right with professional wrestling. Wrestling's all about, big characters, having fun, being entertaining, telling a good story, and he does all of that. And you don't have to be, and it's like the whole, they say that Rey Mysterio, even though he's so small, he's just got that it factor. He's got that something special that people want to see, and he's going to get a big head for saying this, but Juicy's got the same thing. He's got that thing that just, it's easy to get behind him.
No, he's told me he doesn't have a big head. Big sack, but not much cock meat down there.
Nah, he doesn't. Deep down, he's probably, sitting at home fapping over his highlight videos. But, outwardly, he'll never tell you how great he is. But he's just got that thing that you can't help but want to see him. Like I said, he's one of those us guys, you can show our girlfriend, wife, friend, whoever that doesn't enjoy wrestling, you can show him one of his clips and his videos, and people all of a sudden want to watch that guy because he's just got that thing that just makes you want to smile and see him do more.
Do you think, because I was thinking about this the other day and all the media, like the Herald Sun shit and all that kind of stuff, do you think that because of WrestleClash, the local wrestling scene's more popular than it's been in years?
I'm not going to say that it's just WrestleClash because that would be fairly conceited, but I think just the general talent base has stepped up. Like the guys that we have in this country now are exceptional, and people are looking and sort of turned a corner as far as what they know wrestling to be. That's the most important thing. For years it was always, who could put on the best 5-star match and who can do this and who can do that, blah, 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 blah. But now it's, the matches, the shows that have been successful are the ones that tell the best stories. You've got to have a good feud and you've got to, get a few people together. And with obviously the popularity of, your Twitters, your Facebooks, your YouTubes, you can reach a lot more people. You can pop something online. If you get enough people tagged in it, you can make something viral.
So you talk about, you've now got the online self-promotion tools. You've got your promoters and your bookers understanding better how to get the crowds invested. What do you think is still missing from the equation?
What's still missing? It's just, wrestling's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people still just don't get it. It's a very, it's unusual sort of brand of entertainment. And, it's just one of those things that some people have seen it, or they may have seen a local show, or they even may have watched WWE and they just don't like it. Whereas we try to hark back with WrestleClash to the days when wrestling was cool. Like when I was going through high school and you had the Attitude Era and stuff like that, people that didn't like wrestling still watched it. And everyone, because it was entertaining. It wasn't so much about what happened in the ring, it was the rest of the show. So that's what we're trying to do there. So that's where, we may get a few heads that have never been to a wrestling show, or people that are from a different sort of crowd that are keen for a night out to be entertained, because we're coming at it from a very different angle.
It still bothers me. Like, I'll be at work and I'll be talking about, this Friday I'm going to WrestleClash. And I go, why are you going to wrestling for? It's fake. And I'm thinking, how have they still not got their heads around the fact that everyone knows that? They think it's like, I just don't understand why they just turn off of wrestling. Oh, it's fake. It's like they just don't get it.
Game of Thrones is also fake.
It's one of those things that you've got to explain. Like, if you show them one of the clips, if they can see, like, say, with a lot of the, look at the whole Edwin and Sexton thing. That's very little to do with wrestling. They're basically, it's a referee and a wrestler. And the way the match came about was two guys playing musical chairs in the middle of a ring. Now, that's nothing to do with wrestling. You need to really, like, with those sorts of people, you usually say, look, you can watch this. It's nothing to do with wrestling. It's just a entertainment avenue, and you need to explain that it's a completely different sort of a medium. It's just a different way of conveying a story, the same way that, going to a movie is a different way of conveying a story. They're all saying basically everything like you see, a movie, TV show, even reality TV show. There's characters, there's a plot, and there's some sort of moral story at the end. So that's all, we just put us through a different angle. But like I said, a lot of people have been soured on what wrestling can be or is by, what they've seen in the past.
Do you think that with the success, like you seem to be a big fan of it, either that or you're just working really hard. But do you think with the success of the Edwin Sexton feud, you're going to see more of that in WrestleClash? More things, more than just here's two guys they're going to fight. Do you think you'll see some actual feuds and arcs building out of this?
Yeah, we can. The thing is, with the first feud, we were just sort of running with the themes and just seeing what theme would be popular. We'd done wrestling shows and you'd done angles where people hate each other and this and that, and that's always going to work because that's just your bread and butter. But we sort of tried to branch out with the different angles and coming in with the different themes, and you can sort of attack it to sort of build people's interest in it in a different way. So we've been able to hook a few people that just see what the theme is and come for whatever the theme is, dress up, drink a different beer or something, try to attack the hipster market because they've always got money. They drink out of jam jars, they got plenty of cash. have that base, the bread and butter of wrestling is the fact that there's two guys or two girls or whatever, they're going to settle a conflict. So, and because we've got some sort of regularity now with the shows and, people know where we are, when we're going to be on, we can sort of start to develop a few little storylines like that and, give people a reason to come back.
When you talk about being different to, drawing other people and things like that, is part of that being different? Can a bad guy actually win? Will that help?
No, it's like any movie. Rarely does, is there a sad ending to a movie? Like every sort of great tale pretty well has a happy ending. It's just it's the moral of it. Whether they lose or not, the good guys always got to triumph. Even look at the tale of 300. 300 guys take on the Persian army. They die at the end, but they fought the good fight. So, in that case, the bad guys have won, but the good guys still morally win the day. So that's, so whether a good guy or a bad guy wins the match, it doesn't really matter. It's all about what happens at the end of the tale.
You brought up the word hipsters before, because obviously you said there's money there. Michael and I were thinking about this last time at Wrestle Clash. Do you think the crowd is made up of more so wrestling fans or just hipsters who just want something to do on a Friday night?
I'll be honest with you, with the Wrestle Clash show, it's a very different crowd to anything I've been to. It does attract a very different crowd. Purely the one that we notice the most, and trust me, the boys do notice, there's a lot of good-looking birds at a Wrestle Clash show. Compared to other wrestling shows, I think and usually at another wrestling show, you'll see like a hot bird in the front row or something. You'll be like, whose friend is that? It's going to be one of the boys' friends that's been dragged along. But with a Clash show, that's probably the biggest difference. Most wrestling crowds are probably 80-20 guys to girls, and 70% guys and 20% kids and a couple of girls. But with the Wrestle Clash show, because we're providing, like I said, a different form of entertainment, we're not pushing it as straight wrestling down your throat. It's a good fun night. You can come and have a a lot of the girls like to come and have a perv and have a laugh and have a drink, and it's not a show that they would feel embarrassed about coming to. They can come and enjoy it. And so we do attract a different sort of crowd in that sort of variety. And people's, it is sort of especially with the venue we're running at. It's a very sort of it's a good venue for that sort of thing. It's got an alternative sort of feel, and so people want to come out and do something a little bit different. And wrestling's almost so uncool it's cool that they're coming in to enjoy it.
It's speaking of the females coming for a perv, from actually being in the audience, there are a lot of fans of Sean Custom there. It's just a shame he's gay, but he's a fan favourite with the ladies.
I asked him the question, by the way.
Well, I've got a few mates in Melbourne that play for the other team, and they're large fans of Sean Custom as well. It seems to be he's a very popular young lad with guys and girls. But we usually hear a lot about Sexton. The girls like the guy with the purple trunks. We hear a lot about that. But it's just there's like I said, there's something for everyone there. If you want to see some good wrestling, we've got Flex. If you want to see, a guy, little skinny little twink boy, we've got Custom. You want to see a big bloke that resembles a centaur, we've got Elliot Sexton. Or if you just want to see a douchebag dance around, you got me. Or then you've got Mr. Juicy as well for the rotund people in the crowd. So we've covered all our bases.
It upsets me how tight Sexton's fucking underwear is.
Does it make you feel a little bit self-conscious?
That's why it makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
with the main event, Edwin Lay, obviously, he's never wrestled before. How is this match going to go down?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. It's going to happen. Something's going to happen. I can tell you that much. Something's going to happen, and you're going to love it or you're going to hate it, but something's going to happen. He's been training. He's been putting in the work. As you've seen the video, he's taken the Rocky Balboa approach. He's been training with Flex and getting some tips from Crackerjack, and all the boys are sort of. I think Juicy's taking him out for a feed to try to bulk him up, but something will happen. And I don't doubt Sexton for a second. I've been in the ring with him too many times. He knows what he's doing. It's it's going to happen. Is all I can say.
Would we ever see an Edwin heel turn?
I don't know. I don't think that's necessary, really. You know, like you don't need to mess with a good thing. You know, like it's with a referee, it's always a secondary character, so there's no real need to sort of have a heel or a face referee. That's never really works in wrestling. You know, they tried it. I think you watch the old WCW and that Nick Patrick with a heel, then a face, and then a heel and a face, and it's just sort of, if you're a casual fan, you're watching it, and you're like, I don't know about this referee. Is he supposed to be a good guy? Supposed to be a bad guy? It's just, it doesn't make sense. And 90% of wrestling shows I've ever been on in my life, as soon as they announce the referee, he gets booed anyway because people in general just don't like referees. But the fact that we've got one that everyone seems to love is like, well, why ruin a good thing?
Yeah, I'm still out there in the crowd booing for him, fighting the good fight. I know what the status quo is supposed to be.
You're the kind of bloke that yells out, you maggot at the footy, aren't you?
No. It's just when Sexton will say something like, go back to your own country, I'm like, yeah, do that!
Oh, so you're just a little bit racist.
No, I can't be racist. I'm a wog.
Fair enough. Yeah, we're not racist. We just like pointing at stereotypes.
Yes, that is exactly right. Now, I also saw on Facebook that you, much like ourselves, were a big fan of the Bully Ray interview.
Yes, I thought it was fantastic.
It was amazing.
I've listened to both interviews he's done, the one on Jericho's and the one on Roddy Piper's one.
I haven't heard the Roddy Piper one. Any good? I feel like
you
it'd be
hear the
the
Roddy
same
Piper
thing.
one because he's all confident on the Jericho one, and you know, obviously Piper being a legend, they talk, and Piper, until about 3/4 of the way through the interview, doesn't quite realise who he is.
Really?
Oh,
yes, it's fantastic. It's actually fantastic.
What did you like most about the Jericho one?
Well, it's a general issue that, I mean, this is one of the reasons why Slex and I are a tag team. We are best of mates outside of wrestling as well. We're very much into the rock star style of wrestling. The whole, you know, you go out, you put on a show, you do a good job, you go, you drink, you get out, next day you go to the gym. A lot of the boys these days don't drink, and it's just it's hard to deal with us. But in the podcast, they discussed that how, you know, whenever Jericho goes back to the WWE now, they go out, put on a show. The next night, he's struggling to find someone to drink with. And that's just, you know, what we've always sort of grown up with. It's been part and parcel with the show. You know, you do a match, you have a few drinks, you come back and do it again the next day. But yes, that sort of post-show shenanigans seem to be cut out of wrestling these days, and you know, and even it's like the fact that it's happened overseas as well. It's a little bit sad.
I feel like one of the things with Bully Ray and what made that interview was so great is like don't get me wrong, huge fan of the Dudley Boys. I think the work he's doing in TNA is great as well. But Bully Ray carries himself like he's a legend, and he's believable in that belief in himself. And you sit there and you listen to him and you walk away going, why isn't this guy in the Hall of Fame? Like he's got a lot of confidence. He can articulate himself well. I mean, you know, it's a shame he's in TNA and will be unemployed in 3 months because
Well, we can have this conversation again once you listen to the Roddy Piper one, because the confidence disappears. He's almost like he's trying to sell himself to Roddy as being just good, not a legend. He's trying to sell himself as being like the step below what Roddy Piper is. It's the whole interview. You feel like he's just trying to sell himself. It's like, so I listened to the Roddy Piper one first. I got the big tip from Julian James. It's our little thing we tip each other off on hot pods, as we call them, the old hot podcasts. And he put me onto that one, and he said it's hilarious that he's just trying to sell himself the entire time.
I find it's hard to kind of like just Roddy's a lunatic though. I mean, Roddy's out of his mind. Have you watched Legend House at all?
No, I don't have the network. I don't watch a lot of wrestling, so I don't, especially not any of the new product and stuff. So all the stuff that's come out recently, like the TV shows and stuff, like I do get the messages on my Facebook at least once a month that I look like one of the dudes from WWE Divas show, whatever that is.
What's that show on E? What's the show?
Total Divas. You don't really look like an Uso that much.
Someone's boyfriend, I don't know, has a shaved head and does CrossFit, and everyone thinks it looks like me.
Oh, yeah, I know who they're talking about.
Yeah, so I get tagged in a screenshot of that at least once a month.
He's
But that's
much better
about all I
looking
know as far as the WWE reality shows go.
So why don't you watch the product? Just not a fan?
So, just not a fan. Yeah, I love my. I'm a big sports buff. I watch a lot of. I barely have enough time. I watch a lot of regular sport as it is, and like I said, I'm a big fan of the old days of storytelling. That's what I always been a big fan of, and the colourful characters and stuff like that. And just no one's really grabbed me out of the new crop of wrestlers coming through. Like, I've always been a big fan of Cena. I don't care what anyone says. I think he's fantastic. And I'll watch, your WrestleManias and that sort of thing. Although I only just watched last year's WrestleMania about a month ago.
I still haven't seen it.
But it's not the same anymore. I don't know, just the characters aren't as colourful, and the stories being told are just a bit confusing. There's a bit too much going on. I liked it back when it was a little bit simpler. The old less is more works a lot for me.
So, would you say you're more of a fan of the traditional one guy's got a white hat, one guy's got a black hat, and they fight?
Not even that. It's just the... like I said, I remember one of the first matches I ever saw and fell in love with was a Bret Hart match with the Barbarian. And I'll be honest with you, if you watched it today, it probably wouldn't hold up. But just the finish was just... It told a good story. Bret was the small technician, and Barbarian was just this big oaf that just kept clubbing him. And Bret goes for the sunset flip. He's fighting for it. Barbarian drops to his knees, hits a double bicep pose while on his knees. Bret flips the feet up, rolls him down. 1, 2, 3, match was over. It was brilliant. It made sense. But you see matches these days, and to me, it doesn't make sense. You got, a heel being sneaky and, hitting someone with something behind the ref's back, and then they've still got to pick him up and hit him with the finish. It's like, well, just finish on the sneaky thing. Why do you have to be sneaky and, better than him as well? It just doesn't make sense to me. It's just people worried too much. I think with wrestling, it happens a lot on the local scene too. It's too much worried about what's going to make me look good and me, rather than what's going to make the show look good, or what's going to make sense, or what's going to what's a good story we can tell that can lead into something we can do next time. Everything seems to be like, let's give away everything right now.
It seems like, especially with wrestling guys, that Japanese wrestling is something that they all love. But the things that you've just described as what you like, I kind of feel are missing at times. Stuff that happens in those matches just doesn't make sense. You get beat up for 15 minutes, then all of a sudden you're perfectly fine. So does that keep you out of Japanese wrestling as well, considering, it couldn't be further different from WWE?
I do it because I'm still, like I said, a wrestling fan at my core, and so I used to watch a bit of Jap wrestling back in the day, and I can appreciate it. Like, if I'm in the mood and watch a couple of matches, then I'm hooked, and I'll watch like a whole show of Japanese wrestling, because I do enjoy that style from time to time. But as far as if I'm just having a casual, lay around something to watch on a Sunday afternoon or something, I'll flick on like an old WWE or a WCW match that I can feel the story, and you can feel the crowd, and you can see where it makes sense. You can see, it's like, you watch an old movie, you know what's going to happen at the end, but you still like the ride that you go through with the movie. So it's the same sort of feeling. Like, I enjoyed that feeling from watching wrestling. So I feel that's lost. And you can watch the wrestling from Japan more as, I can watch it more as a fan because I don't know any of the wrestlers. So I can't pick who's going to win. You know what I mean? If you watch WWE, you can not watch it for 6 months, and you can go back and you go, oh, this guy, they're going to push this guy's going to win, or you can see how the formula works on WWE. Whereas with Japanese wrestling, I can watch it as a pure fan, almost like as a sports fan, and watch it and be like, oh, that was a surprise. I didn't see that coming. So I do enjoy it in that regard. But yeah, for me, just as a casual fan, I enjoy watching the old stuff that I can. It's like I said, it's like watching an old movie, like watching Top Gun. You still get sad when Goose dies.
I haven't seen it. You ruined it for me.
Come on now, everyone's seen Top Gun.
So Top Gun's not that movie for me. For me, it's Pitch Perfect, but I completely understand what you're saying.
Well, they're probably both as gay as each other, so I think we're just safe there, mate.
Speaking of gay, I asked Custom your question for you.
Yes.
And he says...
what was his response?
His response is, will you tell him I'm as straight can be?
Yeah, that sounds really gay.
That's not a good cover.
That was like
Michael
a lad
Porter
I used to work with at the gym who used to try to convince us that he wasn't gay because all he watched was lesbian porn. It's like, mate, no one watches lesbian porn, not even lesbians. 6 months later, he came out the closet. So, blokes that have to try to prove their straightness are usually the ones that are the most bent.
We took advantage of the fact that it was his first phone interview as well, so we're just trying to make it a bit awkward for him. You called him out on being gay, didn't you, Mike? You said something. I can't remember what it was. He was questionable.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember what it was. It was. It started off as a compliment and then ended just with, but that's a shame because you're gay. So,
this whole thing is not the whole insult of being gay, because being gay is not really an insult. He's just a very sensitive young lad. If you follow him on Instagram, it's a lot of fun. It's just that he's just at that age. He's just a young man coming of age, and you can see the sensitivity coming through and the awkwardness. And it's just, I'm getting a bit older, and I can enjoy watching someone go through the struggles of life and becoming a man. So, you've got to toughen him up.
Yeah, he brought up that he's been wrestling for 4 years, and he thought by now that he'd be doing what Matt Silver's doing. He was a bit disappointed that he hasn't gotten as far as he thought he would. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, everyone starts off with that dream. To be honest, anyone says, I just did it because, I thought it was fun and I wanted to mess around with my mates. They're lying. And everyone, I had the dream of being a WWE wrestler, and, everyone I've spoken to, if you get a few drinks into them, they will break down and tell you the truth. That's what everyone's dream is. For us, when I came up through, I've been doing it for 13 years now, like, that window wasn't really open. It was like a pipe dream. The thought was, okay, we have to go over to America and, first to, even become anything. And a couple of guys did go and try and, didn't work and came back. And, so we just sort of developed the thing here. But then as soon as Matt opened that door, Tennille first opened the door, it was just like, oh, well, this really is an option. And then a couple of other boys got tryouts and people are getting looks in everywhere. It's like, oh, well, this could very well be an option. But, with Sean, I think he's just got to, just going to take a bit of time. It's just one of those sort of young kid things of, the kid that finishes university, the next day he wants to be the CEO of a company. It's like, well, you've got to earn your stripes sometimes. You just sort of, the more setbacks you get, sometimes it's builds more character, makes you stronger, and then when you do succeed, you'll be better at it.
Well, I enjoy reading a lot of wrestler autobiographies and listening to podcasts and things. And listening to the kind of the older vanguard of WWE talking about how, you went on the road, you did your regional stuff, then you went to Mexico, and then you hoped to get a look in over at Japan, and then maybe you went to WWE. When did that stop being a thing? Because it doesn't seem like it's an option anymore.
Well, because when WWE bought out WCW, that was the end of it. I'm pretty sure that's, as far as I feel, that was the end of it, because then there was only one game in town. There was nowhere else. And as much as TNA has tried, they're a very distant second. There is no way to, develop. That was the whole thing, that people were pinching talent from each other. And so you had, it was like having, it's hard to say. Well, like every AFL team has a seconds team. And they develop, a few players that might be good enough to play in the AFL, but they're not quite ready yet, so they're developing down here. Now, you take away that development thing, and then you've just got the AFL team. You're going to hit and miss with a few players you're going to put in your side if you don't have those other places to go, and pitch players from. So they've just got their one school, they develop everyone the one way, and so everyone comes out looking the same. So, whereas back in the day, you had people going everywhere, learning different things, training with different people, getting all these different experiences, which then, molded them as people and then molded them as characters. So, you listen to Austin's podcast a million times, he said, if it wasn't for all the stuff that the shit he'd gone through, then he never would have been that pissed off to the stage where he could have delivered those promos he did in ECW, which were the precursors of the character. So, he would have stuck around being that sort of wishy-washy middle of the card, trying to be better than everyone heel that he was in WCW.
If you could go back now, 10 years, go back 10 years, what would you change about your character?
Well, that's the thing, I have changed my character several times in the last 10 years. Probably one of my biggest problems when I was 21 is because I had the same thing that everyone had when they were 21. You think you know everything, and you're very conceited. And that sort of caused me a lot of problems coming up when I was younger. I was very, very cocky. Some people still think I am, but I just probably get stuffed. But yeah, no, I had a very big, an ego that was disproportionate to my talent at the time. And that caused a lot of problems. As far as character-wise for wrestling, I've worked heel, face, whatever. That never really bothered me. I get stuck playing the face a lot of places, and that does tend to annoy me. I do enjoy being a good heel, but can't really choose sometimes whether the crowd's going to boo you and cheer you. So you just got to do what you're told, or you do what the show calls for, and you go from there.
Could the character you've been playing at the recent Wrestle Clashes, could that ever be a heel character?
Don't think so. I don't know if dancing around and having music cues during your matches is ever going to lead to people sort of. They might eventually shit on it, but it'll be more of that annoying. Oh, we're sick of this, rather than we hate this guy.
Hogan circa '96.
Yeah, a lot of that. Yeah, I think I would develop that sort of heat before I actually develop any. Oh, we want to pay to see this guy get beaten up.
Are there any like talent in Australia, like in the local scene, that you are surprised haven't been picked up by WWE?
Yes, and there's one that he's going to be on Wrestle Clash this week, and that's Mikey Broderick. I've been a big rap for him for years. He just has, to me. And the thing is, I haven't even watched him wrestle that many matches. I've maybe seen him wrestle 4 matches, and the matches where I couldn't tell you anything that happened in them. But he's just got that personality that you need. He's big, he's jacked, he's got the blonde hair, good looks. He's got stacks of charisma. I couldn't tell you 2 moves that he does, but he does command your attention. And that's what they kind of look for. And he's been away, he's been training. He was in Japan for a year, not so much for wrestling. He had a job at Universal Studios or one of those amusement parks, and that's where he sort of had time to just train and pretty much work on being a performer. And I think, if he doesn't get signed next, there's something wrong.
Just to head down some non-wrestling stuff, because you mentioned sport, and then you mentioned AFL a little bit earlier. What's your team?
Carlton.
Oh, that's unfortunate. We're going to beat you, right?
That's the thing. At the moment, I am the world's biggest jinx. Any team that I support is failing miserably. My life is being ruined 1 week at a time by sport. Okay, so Carlton in the AFL, they stink this year. I'm a huge Socceroos fan. I've been getting up in the middle of the night to watch them, and they've been losing. I go for the Los Angeles Lakers in basketball. They had their worst season in the history of the franchise. I'm a jinx at the moment.
Does it upset you that the team you support have only won 1 grand final in the last 20, 30 years and I have to cheat to get it?
Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm well aware of that. The cheating doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother me at all.
I'm a Geelong fan, in case you couldn't realise.
My thing is, every team cheats. We were just better at it than every other team. It's like with the whole drug scandal thing came out with Essendon. Did you notice how no other team kicked up a fuss?
Oh, well, you look at the situation that went around that. This whole scandal comes up right when Bomber moves over. Come on, Geelong, seriously? You're not fooling anyone. We know you're doing the same shit.
Exactly. So you didn't hear a peep out of anyone else because everyone's as bad as each other. They want these blokes to be bigger athletes, run further than they've ever run before playing this game, run faster than they've ever run before playing this game, and then recover from injuries. I think someone a couple of weeks last year, I directly remember after that, everyone had this uproar. Oh, Essendon, their drug cheats, what they're doing is wrong. It's ridiculous. And yet someone who had I think it was a grade 3 tear in their hamstring, which medically takes 28 days to heal, was back in 3 weeks, which is 21 days last time I checked. No one batted an eyelid at that. So anyone that's studied any sort of sports science or, physique stuff would understand that there's something fishy going on there, but the general public that don't know what they're talking talking about. They hear the word drugs, they hear the word steroids, they hear the words performance-enhancing drugs, and they just automatically go, boo, that's wrong, when they don't actually know what they are, what they're used for, who's using them, how they're used, or if they're being used by their team themselves.
Except for Collingwood, because as one of the most successful teams in the league, that's why we've had a bad last 25 years, because we will not stoop to those levels.
So you're a Collingwood fan?
I am a Collingwood fan.
That speaks volumes. That's the one thing I've never been able to understand. You know, I mean, like, I go for a team that people don't like because we used to cheat and rub people's noses in it. Okay, it's easy to not like that guy. But who looks at Collingwood and looks at the fan base of Collingwood and what the people know the general fan base of Collingwood to be and go, yep, that's my team, I'm supporting that? How do you do it?
I can answer this because even though born and raised in Australian, I never really got into football until about 6 years ago. And as someone living in Geelong and seeing the big kerfuffle and all the emphasis Geelong puts on the Geelong football team, it's sickening. So I was
I can understand where you come from there.
Yeah, so
because I'm obviously Adelaide boy. Proud Adelaide boy, will go to an Adelaide United game. Adelaide 36ers will fight anyone traditionally from a Victorian team, yet cannot stand the Adelaide Crows for the same reasons.
Yeah, so that's what I did. Yeah. I said, who do Geelong fans universally hate? Collingwood? Sweet. Eddie Maguire? Cool. You're my team.
Yeah, then, you know, if you can, I will pay that. I will pay that. Same way as my best friend over here. He has bought a Collingwood Guernsey because he knows he doesn't really have a team. He never really had a team in the AFL. He sort of followed the Port Magpies in the SANFL, but never really jumped on Port Power. And he only really developed a love of Collingwood several years ago because I hated them, and even went and bought a Guernsey and got Dale Thomas's number on it because he knew I hated Dale Thomas, and now Dale Thomas plays for us, which annoys me no end. But he even went into the shop and he goes, can I get a number 13 on it? I said, yes. And take a couple of days. He goes, I need it tonight. And they said, why? And he goes, to annoy a friend. And they went, well, that sounds pretty noble. And they put it on for him straight away. So, yeah, I can understand how you can like a team despite a lot of other people.
Yeah, and we all need a friend like that. And speaking of, you were a groomsman recently, correct? Fucking excellent segue.
How was the wedding? Was it glorious?
It was fantastic. Obviously, you're speaking of the Slex wedding.
We sure are.
I've been many a groomsman. I'm the old. I'm almost like the 27 dresses girl. I'm forever a bridesmaid, never a bride. I'm actually in another wedding, which is going to cause me to miss Wrestle Rock because I'm going to a wedding in Bali that I'm also a groomsman for. So I've had to dust off the shiny shoes a few times. But no, that wedding was special. That was a great day.
Have you ever given like a glorious speech at a wedding?
No. I always avoid the best man duties. Not that I don't like public speaking. I could give a speech. It's just the rest of the lead up. Like I know with another mate's wedding in Adelaide that I was a groomsman for. The thought of being the best man came up, but then I thought about all the hours that goes into organising the help, because it was an Italian wedding too, which is just they're the worst. There was just so much to organise with the buck show and organising presents and having to do this, having to be here, having to be there, and so I sort of politely declined not to be the best man at that wedding. But it's not the fear of a speech, it's just the fear of organising stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Let's discuss the Bucks night. What was the best thing you saw?
The Bucks night?
At Slex's.
For Slex's?
Boobies.
It's actually on YouTube. I don't know what it's under, but you can search it. It's have you guys been to the Hofstra House in Melbourne?
I haven't. No, have you, Michael?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it's your traditional sort of German beer hall. We've been there a few times. Obviously, they sponsored the German Wrestle Clash that we put on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would recommend getting down there. It's actually a really great night out. And as a man that spent 5 months in Germany, I do love all things German. But they have a yodeling competition. The lady will come up with the band and she'll grab a person off each table and get them to mimic her yodel. And obviously it's supported by it's decided by a round of applause from the crowd. So we've got 25 guys on a buck show, and she's pulled Slex up to do the yodeling. Now, admittedly, his yodeling was a lot better than everyone else's, but the voting was somewhat swayed by the 25 largely intoxicated men that proceeded to scream and yell and carry on until he won. Then Flex decided to rip his shirt off Hogan style, throw it on the floor and start doing Ric Flair elbow drops and knee drops in the middle of the bar to the disgust and amusement of everyone else in the restaurant. We won our free round of shots of the schnapps, which was the protocol for winning the yodeling contest, and then proceeded to get cut off from the bar. So that was probably the highlight of the evening.
Just got to give a quick shout out to Custom. We were just told that the best part of a Bucks night was a man taking his shirt off. You're in the clear, buddy. Don't worry, you're not the gay one.
Well, he piked pretty early, so I don't know. That may have been something that happened after we left that establishment and moved on. He may have, gone stuck home with someone or stuck into someone's hotel room. I don't know what happens there, but
Have you been hosting any parties overseas? We were discussing that last time we talked.
No, that was a 1 year deal. That thing, I would never go back to Greece, even if you paid me $1 million. Huh?
Why not?
Have you been to Greece?
It's pretty bad at the moment, isn't it?
It's pretty bad. Not so, obviously the Greek islands, you look at them, physically beautiful place. They are a lovely place. The place where I lived and worked is a toilet. It's, like I said, it was very similar to King's Cross every night of the week. So for 4 months. And it's just, even Damien Slater went on a holiday with his girlfriend, and they went to the same island where I worked, and he saw all the beautiful parts of that island, which I also did see and enjoy. But then he also went to the strip where I worked, and he sent me a message straight. And I'm like, because he was there for 3 hours and wanted to leave. He didn't know how I survived 4 months.
As a Greek who's always been told you have to go back at least once, I too have no interest in going to Greece at all.
It's interesting. It's worth going to, because I'm a big fan of travel, and I always think any sort of European country is worth checking out. And I'm glad I went. I can say that, but I'm not in a rush to go back.
Yeah. Well, man, let's wrap things up. You got any shit you need to plug? Any merch or social media things we should be talking about?
No, I'm not a big merch guy, but definitely get on the Wrestle Clash Instagram, get on the Wrestle Clash Twitter, Facebook, follow all of that. Obviously, we're branching out now to become, look for the in brackets at the end of the events, because we're obviously going to start running a few more in Adelaide. So the Wrestle Clash Adelaide events and the Wrestle Clash Melbourne, all the updates will be at wrestleclash.com.au. Definitely worth checking out, because these shows are going to be, we've got a few new characters busting out for the Wrestle Clash Adelaide show. Get a few guys coming in from here, there and everywhere. It's going to be same, but a little bit different. We're going to have all your sort of your regulars, like your Elliot Sextons, Mr. Juicy's, obviously Flex and Rocky. But we're introducing a few new heads to the field, and a few new girls to the event in the Adelaide show. So I know you're a big sleaze, Mike, so you might want to come down for that.
Big fan of girls.
Get yourself to 1,000 Pound Bend this Friday night and check out the Hot for the Orient.
You say we. Are you like the owner? You're like the COO of Wrestle Clash?
No. Rowan is the chairman of the board. Rowan's the Vince McMahon of. We always joke that Rowan's the Vince McMahon of Australian wrestling. Let's be honest. He just seems to have his finger in every pie possible. Wrestle Clash is sort of one of my babies as far as brains trust.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for your time. I do appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll catch up on Friday anyway.
Yeah, we definitely will. So you'll be down, and Mike's going to give it a miss.
Yeah, unfortunately, I used all my days off taking the missus to and from the hospital, so I will be
That's
at
not a
work.
problem, mate. I heard about that, and I wish her a speedy recovery, and hope everything's well, mate.
Oh, well, that's why that happened. I was wishing the surgeon slipped so I could get on Tinder. Thanks for jinxing it.
Oh, you're a dirtbag. I love it. We might even have a spot for you on Wrestle Clash someday. You could just be the creepy manager of all the women wrestlers.
He would love that.
Yes,
We'll have to call you, I don't know, something like Paul Jones or something. That'll seem to fit the creepy character.
Yeah, you got to go with the ref, because he gets to make sure they don't have any foreign objects anywhere, and there are places that foreign objects can be inserted, so they have to be checked.
Well, see, there we go. If we ever need to get rid of Edwin as a referee, I think you might need a slap on the striped shirt.
I have my own already.
Did you work at Foot Locker, or are you just a creep?
Just a creep. I knew I could never cover as a wrestler.
Fantastic. Well, you put your name on it. That's the important thing. If you're going to be a dirtbag, put your name on it.
That's it. Yeah, you wear the shirt in, you go to Foot Locker, no one questions it, and you've got all the shoes sniffing you need.
Oh, that is fair. You know what? We have to end there because you can't top that.
All right, thanks for your time, man. See you later.
No worries, boys. Thanks a lot.
Catch up.
See you, man.